All right, let's get started. Today, we're going to blast off into the incredible story of a true American hero, someone who literally reached for the stars. Yep, get ready to learn all about the amazing Sally Ride. Come on, just picture it. What would that be like, floating around with no gravity, looking down at our big, beautiful blue planet? It's totally like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? And, for a really long time, that's all it was, just a dream. But then, along came Sally Ride. Now, back then, a lot of people thought that being an astronaut was a job just for men. But boy, did she prove them wrong. She wasn't just a brilliant scientist, she was also an amazing athlete and a super brave explorer. She showed everyone that with enough courage and hard work, any dream is possible. So let's dive into her incredible journey. So, how did it all start? I mean, where does a story like this even begin? Well, way before she was a famous astronaut, Sally was just a kid. A kid with a really curious mind and tons of energy. I mean, growing up, Sally was always taking things apart, just trying to see how they ticked, And her parents, they saw that spark, that curiosity, and they totally encouraged her to just explore whatever she was interested in. And that right there was a huge reason she became so successful. Okay, so what's super interesting about Sally is that she had these two huge passions, and they seemed totally different from each other. On one side, you've got this brilliant science and math whiz, but on the other side, she was a top-ranked tennis player. I'm talking nationally ranked. She was an absolute star both on the court and in the classroom. Now, you might be thinking, tennis? What does that have to do with being an astronaut? Well, believe it or not, for Sally, it was the perfect training. Playing tennis at that high level taught her how to stay calm when the pressure was on, how to concentrate like crazy for a long time, and, this is a big one, how to recover when you make a mistake. And trust me, those skills became absolutely crucial later on. So, you take that love for science, you add in that laser focus she learned from sports, and boom, you've got a path that's headed straight for the stars. So she went off to university and just dove headfirst into physics. The science of how literally everything in the universe works, from the smallest little atoms to the most massive galaxies. And she was so good at it, she didn't just get a degree, she earned a doctorate. That's one of the highest levels of education you can achieve. Super impressive. Then, one day in 1977, something amazing happened. Sally saw an ad from NASA. And for the very first time, they weren't just looking for astronauts. They were specifically asking women to apply. Can you even imagine? Over 8,000 people sent in applications, every single one of them dreaming of going to space. So out of those 8,000 hopefuls, how many do you think NASA picked? Just 35. A tiny little group. And you guessed it, Sally Ride was one of them. She did it. She was in. But, getting picked, that was just step one, the starting line. Now came the really hard part, the training. And let me tell you, astronaut training is not easy. Just imagine being spun around super fast in a giant machine, or practicing how to do a spacewalk in a giant swimming pool. Sally had to learn it all, how to fly the space shuttle, how to fix complicated machines with no gravity, the whole shebang. She was training right alongside these super experienced pilots and engineers, and she proved, without a doubt, that she was just as tough and just as smart as every single one of them. All of that intense training, all of that incredible hard work, it was all building up to one single history-making moment. And then, it was time. On June 18th, 1983, it felt like the whole world was watching, holding its breath, as Sally Ride blasted off aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger. She wasn't just flying to space, no way. She was flying into the history books as the very first American woman to leave our planet. And get this, she was only 32 years old. So not only was she the first American woman in space, she was also one of the youngest astronauts ever. How cool is that? And she wasn't just along for the ride either. Oh no. Sally had a super important job to do. She was the expert in charge of the shuttle's giant robotic arm. Think about that. She used it with amazing skill to release satellites and even grab them, all while floating around in space. Her whole career at NASA was just groundbreaking. After that historic first flight in 1983, she went right back up to space again the very next year, in '84. And later, after the tragic Challenger accident, she played a really important role in the investigation. using her knowledge to help make space travel safer for all the astronauts who would come after her.
So that makes you wonder, right? After you've actually been to space, after you've looked down and seen our whole planet, what do you do next? I mean, where do you go from there? Well, for Sally, her mission was far from over.
Her next chapter was just as important, if not more so than her time in space. She decided to focus on a new mission, inspiring the next generation right here on planet Earth. So what'd she do? Well, first, she became a professor, sharing her passion for science with university students. Then, she started writing these awesome science books just for kids, breaking down really big ideas so they were fun and easy to get. And on top of all that, she started her own organization, Sally Ride Science, with a goal to get young people, especially girls, fired up about science, technology, engineering, and math. You see, Sally understood that being the first meant something. It was a big deal. She wanted to use that to be a role model, to show every single kid out there that there are absolutely no limits to what they can do. Her message was powerful and simple. You can be anything you set your mind to. So, what's the big takeaway from Sally Ride's incredible life? It's this. She showed the world that you don't break down barriers by shouting. You break them down with excellence, with the confidence to try something new, and with the courage to chase after your dreams no matter how impossible they might seem. Her journey is just an amazing reminder that our universe is just full of possibilities. She reached for her stars. So I guess the only question left to ask is, what stars will you reach for?